strong start, and you love the reaction from Marcus Rashford in particular, Christian Eriksen, and then they conceded, and the wheels fell off the bus. And it's poor defending, it's poor transition. The midfielders that he's talked about with Casemiro and Eriksen don't cover enough ground, and you just feel the confidence within the group just sink.
Why are you talking funny?
You got mint in your mouth?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were worried about United and Ten Hag, that's why.
I thought you were picking your words very carefully, Chuck. Too carefully.
He was much more emotional when United drew 20. Now they drew Porto. Ten Hag seemed to be more hot than ever 30 minutes ago. And he came in, he's talking about, he just...
Last week, Manchester United were rubbish. That's what he said at the final whistle.
And
this
now
year,
he's just trying
They're
to...
still rubbish!
There we go, he took it.
They're still rubbish! Guess what? They are who we thought they were. They went up 2-0, and you thought, okay, yeah. But were you convinced that it was going to stay that way? No. For me, you're getting more of the same. Nothing is really changing.
I just think, to add to Charlie's point, for me, Poppy, that performance still leaves more questions than answers. You're 2-0 up, away from home, Porto, European nights, it's always difficult to get a result away from home. When you go 2-0 up, you've got to be a lot more wiser. There's no excuse. They've got so many experienced players, Champions League winners in that team, to see out the game. They gave away 2 very poor goals defensively, where it leaves questions about these players and their ability to still play for Manchester United. But you give them credit to be able to come back and still get a draw. But still, there's so many questions.
These characteristics are very
wound, isn't it?
worrying. And there have been signs pointing at this, because the moment they concede, and in such a small moment,
fragile.
They're fragile. It feels like someone is shaking the earth under them. They can't find their bearings, and they can't find that peace, that tranquility to say, we're Manchester United. We just went up 2 goals. We can control this game. They don't know how to stop that wave of momentum because of the energy and the context that's surrounding Manchester United at the moment. A small wave of momentum suddenly becomes a tsunami, and they have no response to it. But you do got to give them credit that at least they got the draw.
At least they got the draw. But for me, at the end of the day, there's a responsibility that comes when you play for Manchester United. This is what comes with playing for this club. You have to deal with it. Yes, you're going to be scrutinised. You're going to be criticised. This is what comes for it.
No,
you're representing...
If you were a Manchester United fan, in some ways, would you have just, you don't want to say hope that you would have lost, but would it have made the decision easier had it been another loss tonight? Because in some ways now it feels like, OK, well, we're kind of back to square one where we're lingering on the edge.
I don't think all Manchester United fans are naive to what they're seeing. Clearly they can see again, and they don't have no identity, no style of play, there's no principle. Players are going there. For me, the one shining light is Marcus Rashford looks like he's getting back to his best. He was sensational for 45 minutes.
Early, though.
But we don't know what the situation was. And then Garnacho came on, and Garnacho played well as well. And
Very
for me,
strange that
one player who doesn't get the credit, but if it wasn't for him, it could have been a clear and easy win for Porto today, is Onana.
Agree.
Onana was sensational in goal, and he has been for many weeks recently.
What's ironic is Ten Hag went out and got De Ligt, went out and got Mazraoui. Poor defensively, went out to get Lisandro Martinez. Poor defensively. And Harry Maguire is the one that comes in to save the point, which is crazy to me, because you can see that defensively, they're still not good enough.
And are they lacking a leader? Because that's the other thing. They're still relying on Harry Maguire to be that leader on the pitch, because without him, who are they really looking at?
There is no leaders in this Manchester United side, if you look at it. It's difficult. I mean, I'm not against goalkeepers becoming captain. I think Onana could be someone that's actually very good, strong character. He's playing well and putting out great saves. But for Manchester United, you need your leader to be in that middle of that pitch. Bruno Fernandes is a very talented player. I like him a lot. But I just don't see him as a captain leader. In my opinion, I don't think he's the right player to lead or captain Manchester United. And that's not taking away anything away from the talent, the player that he is. But it's just, for me, there's a different kind of playing characteristics you need to captain that club. Players have to take responsibility. These players are experienced players. They're not young. They're not under 18s, 17s, where they're still learning the game. You're talking about Champions League winners in that team, Casemiro, World Cup players.
Who signed him? Who signed him?
I know Erik Ten Hag did, yes, he did, but still the players have a responsibility of their own pride to take responsibility to say, all right, we should not be conceding, we can't concede.
But that
goes to show the lack of cohesion and togetherness that we still see in Manchester United. Yes, they got a draw today. It's Porto, but it's still paving over the cracks. And Maguire's goal reminds me of last season, and it was when McTominay was coming out with these vital, crucial goals, which were paving over the cracks throughout the season
What
last
about
year.
at half-time then? You know, obviously we don't know the full extent to why Marcus Rashford was taken off, but if he was taken off performance-based, Charlie, how do you read that?
A concern. You got to get rid of him, Ten Hag. It's that simple.
We got to be careful though, because we don't know what happened with Marcus Rashford.
If it was tactical,
I find it hard to believe
we're
that they
talking
took him
about
off.
if it was tactical.
tactically,
If it was.
If it's tactical, it's not an injury. Your most decisive player in that first half, you're taking him off?
it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable if it was for a tactical reason. I would love, if there's post-game sound, I would love to hear what's his explanation.
My mind would be blown if he said, tactical decision.
Because he's been, between him and Garnacho, he's not given either of the two rhythm to become that player that's able to put the team on the back. Right when he's starting scoring, he'd take him off. Same for Garnacho.
Even though he's brought all the players and they've backed him as a club to give him the players that he wants, this is really his team. There is no excuses. I still don't look at him to say he knows what his best 11 is.
Most of his signings are going backwards. Who has improved?
Onana.
Onana's the only one. I agree to that.
The only one.
Onana's the
And
only
Lisandro
one.
Martinez was an anomaly
improved?
to that rule.
He's
Could
improved
you
from
say
where he
he's
was
in-
at Inter?
yeah.
You saying he's improved
From the
that?
bad start he had at
A
Manchester United
Champions
and the
League
press
finalist
negative.
goalkeeper who was phenomenal in Serie A. You're telling me he's
Yes,
improved at Manchester
Charlie,
United?
For his time at Manchester United and some of the mistakes he's made early in his
because
career.
he started
he's
down here with his
improved.
confidence, but he hasn't improved as a player since he came from Inter.
Fair point.
You can't tell me that.
From his performance at Manchester United, I would say he has improved.
I think you got to give it
It's
a
a
plus.
different.
He's a good goalkeeper.
It's a turn in the page now for me.
He's a Champions League finalist at Inter. He
Yeah,
was
I know, I get it, I get it,
phenomenal
I get it. I
last
get what you're
Incredible with
saying.
Inter, wasn't he? What about Harry Maguire then? Because it feels like, I mean, he is Mr. Reliable, isn't he, in some ways, for
He's
this
gotta be
Manchester
frustrated.
United team?
He's got to be frustrated. From the Manchester United captain to the arm man being taken off him, he's coming on now. He's not a regular starter. And he comes on and gets that goal to the equaliser. He's got to be frustrated. You know, it's hard to be in that situation as a player. An absolute complete mismatch for me by Porto. I really don't understand how you can put, I'm not too sure who the Porto player is, on Harry Maguire, but from the size and the physicality aspect, you can't do that. And it's what we talk about when you look at team selections and certain players, you can say now in a modern game, how the balance works in the positions and the players that you're picking to the physicality aspect of who they might be coming up against and athleticism.
You boys said that you think Erik ten Hag's future hinges on this game and the Aston Villa game. Did this game do Erik ten Hag any favours?
It definitely didn't help him.
It's strange because the performance wasn't great.
But they didn't lose.
Right.
That's
But they didn't lose at the end of the day because you go into a game at Villa at the weekend that if you don't win, I think it could be the final straw. It would have been much worse. Might Harry Maguire have given this guy a little bit of more oxygen to see more games through? I don't know, but I think originally that was the mistake from the leadership at Manchester United because it was a results-driven decision. It felt like at the FA Cup, despite the forms in which you arrived at the FA Cup, despite the manners in which your games were played, it did feel like based off of one result where you beat Manchester City, they decided to go with him or to go in a new direction. And they decided for the former. So now again, are you going to base a decision off of a result because you didn't lose? But if you look at the game, it's a team that was borderline capitulation, dropping those points, going
But Nico,
up to zero
does that
almost
make you
losing the
think
game.
that it's more so not the decision now about Erik ten Hag, it's the decision of do we have anybody in this moment that's ready to come
There
in
are managers
that we believe
available,
is
and if you
best?
don't get the result against Aston Villa, you have an international break, and Dan Ashworth and the leadership at Manchester United, if they really seriously consider it, they have a nice, 10 days to properly look
Let's
into
not forget, this is a club that interviewed a number of potential candidates and then decided, you know what, maybe no one was convincing enough. Ten Hag wins the FA Cup and they say, all right,
Well, they told him.
we're going to go with him, right? I don't think they were fully behind Ten Hag. That's why they were interviewing other candidates. That's why they were talking to other candidates.
Is he your favourite candidate, obviously, now to carry on? Who would you bring in if you were Manchester
why
United?
continue when you know this is what you're getting. And I agree with Nico. It's not about one particular game, not one match.
So who would
but
you
it's
bring
been
in?
a number of matches that have pointed
It's like,
down.
I think it would be so ridiculous to say Harry Maguire saved Erik ten Hag.
No.
That's so myopic. That's not a macro vision. You're looking at one thing in one moment.
Listen, the writing's on the wall. The performances have not been good enough. There's a lot of questions. Erik ten Hag is running out of time.
What about
For
the
me,
names then, Nige? Give me a
the
name.
names, I will not... Listen, there's so many names out there. It depends on the direction the club wants to go in. We can all have this conversation.
Who would you like to see?
There are a number of names. Thomas Tuchel is available if you wanted to do that, but we know his style. Is that what Manchester wants to do? If you want to go Englishman, Eddie Howe, who's at Newcastle. Okay, maybe you want to be a little bit more aggressive, bring somebody back. De Zerbi, who's been killing it at Marseille. Is that someone you'd want to go entertain? But
Let me tell you the favourites. Ruud van Nistelrooy then and Gareth Southgate are the two that are rumoured to come in.
Is the main one that I would say.
They tried a club legend already.
Yes,
and
it didn't work. That experiment
they
didn't
finished
work
second in the Premier League, better than anything Ten Hag has done. They've gone for the Dutch manager, go for a more systematical approach, someone who was at a team with an academy, with an ideology, similarly to what Liverpool did with Arne Slot. Again, it's very difficult to see the future because who knew that Ten Hag was going to be poor? Because his Ajax team was really good. They got to a Champions League semi-final on the doorstep of a freaking final with Ajax. That would have been incredible. And hats off to him to do that. Why not take a risk with Erik Ten Hag? It didn't work out. Look at Arne Slot. It's almost the same. You were criticizing Liverpool going for Arne Slot, and now they're top of the league. Yeah. Right? So you got to get it right. And repeatedly, they've got it wrong. They've gone for Mourinho.
So who do you think then, very quickly, if you all had to give a name, give me a name?
I would have said the one person that would suit Manchester United for what they want to do for the foundation stability and rebuilding purposes, Pochettino would have been a good candidate.
Well, he's not available now, so give me a different one.
Money talks, right? These managers sign contracts.
Don't be silly.
On American TV, you say that?
Yeah, don't be silly.
I just said Pochettino would have been a good candidate for it.
No ideas then.
Hold on a second. You don't think clubs can go and get managers from other clubs?
Okay.
If they wanted someone, they can get someone. Do not be fooled.
So you would put Pochettino in then?
Okay, the
Charlie,
biggest club in world football.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Zidane.
Okay, Nico. Anyone? Quick.
Guy hasn't, no. I got to think about it. I'm not Dan Ashworth. I'm not making that call.
Right,
They got to get it right.
Erik, when we spoke before the game, you said you wanted to see a reaction from your players. Did you think you saw them? What were your thoughts on the performance tonight?
We started the game very good, and we dominated them. We scored two good goals, but then we lost control. So the start was good. The middle part was no good, and then we finished very good. And it's a tough place to go. And yeah, we're coming back from a 3-2, and we get the equalizer. So it's good for the spirit. You see again, the team is willing, strong character. But the middle part, in the defending, we have to improve.
Why did that happen? What happened in the middle part of the game to lose control so quickly?
First of all, be better on the ball. Like the first part, keep switching. Well, we had our free players. We had a good plan, and in the half spaces we had our free players. So use them, and then more goals will come. And the second thing is, obviously we have to defend better.
This team seems to have a habit of conceding goals in bunches. It happened at the weekend. It's happened again tonight. And it's the fourth time in a row in Europe, away from home, you scored 3 and failed to win the game. Why is that? Is there a mental resilience problem in this team?
So we had 3 clean sheets not so long ago, a time ago. So we can defend very good, but we have to go back to those habits, and only then you can win games. And when you score 3 times in an away game in Europe, that must be enough.
Marcus Rashford had a great first half, scored a fantastic goal, almost added another. Why did he come off at half-time?
We have to rotate. And Garnacho, we didn't start him. He had a great game, not only on Sunday, but I think in the whole season. And so we subbed them. On Sunday we have again another hard game, good game. So we need players to be available and be fit and fresh.
So could Rashford not have played any more minutes tonight?
But we have to play Garnacho.
And is that with an eye on Sunday?
Pardon?
Is that with an eye on Sunday? You sub Rashford to make him play on Sunday.
We go quickly turn around to Villa, and they have a day longer. We have an away game, so we want fresh players on the pitch on Sunday.
So there we have it. Rotation was the answer for Marcus Rashford coming off at half-time. Charlie, your face, I think, explains how you're feeling. What do you think of that answer?
Are you kidding me? A 26-year-old Marcus Rashford, who is finally looking like the player they need him to be, aggressive, cutthroat, efficient, and you sub him off at half because you're thinking about the game on the weekend, not the game at hand, as if your job is not in the line, that you need to send a message to the team to win at Porto. You were down, you were up 2-0, they came back, and you don't want to win the game, you're going to take him off? Your most impactful player?
No,
Get him out. He doesn't know what he's doing.
And if you're Marcus Rashford, do you take that personally, Nigel?
Imagine how he feels.
Of course. That's the thing that people don't understand. When you're a player with what he's been through recently, and he's just finding his form, having a fantastic game, away to Porto in a European night, and then you get taken off a rotation. Do you know how angry he's going to be right now?
He's acting like a youth coach who's never coached before.
The distance between him and Erik is going to be even further now.
Imagine, what else does he have to do? He's probably playing the best 45 minutes of the season right there, putting the team on his back. Hey, 2-2. I'm Manchester United through and through. Let me get us beyond this result and get us a win and bring all the momentum back in our favor to then go to Villa at the weekend and prove that I can go full 90 here, full 90 there, and deliver. And Ten Hag's not permitting him to do that?
But this goes to the thing about being a manager. Top managers make tough decisions at times. You have to be strong. There's nothing wrong with keeping Marcus Rashford for another 20, 30 minutes of that half and then taking him off saying you're thinking about Villa. But when you take him off at half-time, with the first half that he's had...
Like he's the issue. And he said, we need to get Garnacho on. What do you mean you need to get Garnacho on? Start Garnacho then with Rashford. What are we doing here? I'm sorry, but if you're a Manchester United supporter, you got to get rid of this guy because he can't coach. There is no consistency with his coaching. There's no method to his madness. How are you going to sub off your most impactful player who needs to get going, whose confidence has been shoddy, who finally looks like over the past couple weeks he's coming to life, and you take him off at half? How is he supposed to get into a rhythm?
I just think there's so many things that he said in that interview there that's a bit alarming for me and worrying. And the fact that you can be Manchester United manager and say you have to be better on the ball. You're at Manchester United. You're one of the top prestige clubs, and you're saying you have to be better on the ball and better defensively.
Isn't that just the basics that you would just expect? That's the basics. That's
something they expect for you to be one of the best at when you get you to Manchester United.
Did that say to you that he's just run out of answers to give the reporter there?
Yeah, it looks like he's tired himself.
Rashford couldn't have been better on the ball. He was 3 for 3 for dribbles, good passing and connecting passes and possession, and that's the guy you took off.
What's your manager been saying to you? What have you been saying to each other as players?
No, I think after every game you analyse and you speak amongst yourselves. The manager spoke, a few members of the staff spoke, and the players spoke as well. So, no, it's pretty normal. I've been in many dressing rooms after the game where everyone has a chat and speaks about what we can do better.
In terms of the game tonight, from 2-0 up, how did that one slip away the way it did?
Well, I think when you get 2-0 away from home in a place like this, you've got to be a little bit more solid and a little bit more secure. There were far too many gaps, too many crosses coming to the box, for sure. I think in that first half there was 5 or 6 dangerous balls coming to the box, and they ultimately punished us for it. And we played really well with the ball in the first half, just really poorly without it, I think.
This team seems to have a habit of conceding goals in bunches. There was 6 minutes between two in the first half. Why do you think that is? Is there a structural issue? Is it a resilience, a mental issue?
No, I think it's more probably of a mental issue. I think it's something that we've got to overcome. I think probably starts with belief. I mean, when we go 2-0 up and then we concede, does the belief go a little bit between the boys that we can go on and win the game here? It's something that we need to be aware of, something that we need to focus on, and really make sure that when we do concede, we get together, we regroup, and we stick together, because that's part and parcel of football, and it's something that we've got to do better.
Why does that keep happening? Because that was something your manager referenced on Sunday as well at Tottenham, where the same kind of thing happened, and he mentioned belief sort of evaporating after the early goal and then the one right after half-time? Is there something that you need to do on the pitch? Do you need to show more leadership? What is it?
No, maybe you can talk about leadership. I think it's an easy word to throw out. The boys on the pitch have obviously got together. They've got to realise that it's happened far too many times. They've got to realise that every time we concede, it's something that we need to reset and refocus and make sure that we go back to the game plan which got us the lead in the first place. But yeah, it's something that we do need to improve on. It's something that we'll speak about amongst the players. But if we want to be successful this season, we can't be conceding 2 goals in as many minutes as we have done this season.
There's been a lot of talk about your manager's future, that this game and the game on Sunday may be crucial for him to keep his job. Do you as players, do you still believe in him? Do you think you can go further and improve under him?
Yeah, definitely. I think, to be honest, I've played for this club now for 6 years, so I know how it works. And when you go through a bad spell, players come under pressure, but also the manager does. And he's experienced enough, he's been in the game long enough, he's been at this club long enough that I'm sure he's learned how to deal with it. And it's part and parcel of playing for this club or managing this club. And yeah, it's part of the privilege that you have.
Manchester United manager Erik Ten Hag explains why Marcus Rashford was substituted against Porto. In a surprising move, Marcus Rashford was taken off by Erik Ten Hag at halftime, despite scoring 1 goal and assisting another in Manchester United's clash against Porto. Ten Hag acknowledged that Rashford's defensive performance had been an issue during a chaotic first half before his substitution. Rashford gave United an early 1-0 lead in the 7th minute and then set up Rasmus Højlund for their second goal in the 20th minute. However, Porto fought back, scoring twice in 7 minutes to level the game by halftime. Alejandro Garnacho came on at the break, replacing Rashford, who had not completed 90 minutes in any of his previous 5 United appearances. Ten Hag explained that Rashford's substitution was part of a rotation strategy. In the post-match press conference, Ten Hag stressed the importance of getting Garnacho involved, as the young winger wasn't deemed fit to start. Garnacho was by far my best player on Sunday, and in many other games as well, Ten Hag emphasized. So far this season, he's been providing that offensive threat, creating chances, getting assists, and scoring. We needed to bring him in. We have 2 very good players on that side. When asked if Rashford's defensive struggles, particularly failing to track João Mario, who crossed for Porto's first goal, contributed to his substitution, Ten Hag responded, "I have to stay aware, and on the left side, we definitely didn't defend well tonight, and Marcus played a role in that. But as I said, it was about getting Garnacho on the pitch, not about anything against Rashi." A 91st-minute header from Harry Maguire saved United from their 4th defeat of the season, but the team remains winless in their last 4 games and has only 1 victory in their last 10 European matches. Despite scoring 12 goals in their last 4 European away games, United have failed to win any, suffering losses to Bayern Munich and Copenhagen and drawing with Galatasaray last year. Ten Hag also expressed frustration with his team's lack of defensive commitment, particularly on Samu Omarodian's 50th-minute goal, which put Porto ahead 3-2. "I have mixed feelings," Ten Hag added. "We all know this is a tough place to come. When you start that well, the players executed the plan brilliantly, and we scored 2 great goals. Then we switched off. We didn't control possession as we did earlier, and defensively, we switched off, conceding a completely unnecessary first goal. In a stadium like this, that lights the fire. It became really tough after that. We addressed things at halftime, but then we conceded a 3rd goal unnecessarily, no one defended, and it came down to a lack of willingness in those moments. But I have to credit the team for how they fought back and found a way to equalize.